So Kyle Larson wins the Knoxville Nationals for the third time a couple weeks ago. And one reporter asked him about if he thinks he's better than Max Verstappen. Kyle says if he drove an F1 car, he probably wouldn't beat him. But he said there's no way that Max could come over, go run the Chili Bowl, go run Knoxville National, or run
Cup
any
race.
dirt, and anything like that, and run with him. He said, when it comes to diversifying the skill set, the disciplines, I got him, and you can quote that. Now, I agree with that. Personally, I've been saying for a couple of years that Kyle Larson is the best driver in the world. And the folks across the pond
got a little
seemed
sassy.
like they did not
exception to
agree,
that.
and they took exception to that.
They took some hard jabs back at Kyle Larson.
And that's why I'm going to lay it up to you guys. I think that their lack of respect for the other disciplines, because how hard they were on it, tells me that you guys don't respect like V8 supercars either. You don't respect like the IndyCar folks either. Like, there's a lot of good drivers that are spread across. Just because you guys are running country to country, world champs, when you do your championship, that doesn't mean the best driver is over there.
Well, we've been in this system. I took Kaitlyn over there for about a year and a half to be in this. I would call it European development system for their F1 drivers, and those kids know go-karts, F4, 3, 2, 1. That's their development system. If you don't make it to F1, then you start to go drive your sports cars, or you drive rally, or there's very little direction that comes with doing anything outside of F1 and karts. Karts is your path. And the thing that I can tell you is everyone over there is not very well educated on NASCAR. And what NASCAR actually is. And I actually had to explain to the guys on the go-kart teams what NASCAR was, because their view of it is it's a car you go buy at the dealership, you go out and you tune it up and fix it up and you go race it at the track. They had no idea that we had the
that's
shops
all it is, right?
and the technology
Sounds about right.
and everything that comes with that. So they're poorly educated on what NASCAR is. But the thing that I can tell you, that if Kyle Larson went to be to drive Max Verstappen's car, it wouldn't be but 1 or 2 days, and he would be damn close to being as fast as Max Verstappen. But there is no way that Max Verstappen comes over here and does that in a stock car. So I think Max has, he's extremely talented and very, very, very good at what he does for his discipline. I heard him talk about drivers being specialized in their discipline.
Yep.
That's not Kyle Larson.
Right. Kyle
Larson can go out and drive anything. He's very good at his discipline.
Right.
But he's got multiple disciplines. And we saw what he did in an IndyCar. And I truly believe that Max would do okay, but he's not going to do anything anywhere close to what Kyle Larson does. And I think that Kyle Larson, I really want to see. I wish we could get Zach Brown on this show, because I have some pressing questions for you, Zach, and how we can get Kyle Larson into this F1 car to get him on the racetrack and testing and in the simulator to see if we can get him up to speed in a couple weeks, because I believe that we could. But I just think that the some of the arrogance that comes from the international crowd on the media side to just say, you can't do that, Kyle Larson. That's not even a fair comparison. They just don't even know what they're talking about.
So I got to give credit to Ash Vanderlei, who had an interview with Max that you just kind of talked about. Max is like, in each discipline, everyone's specialized and good and this, that, and the other. And that's cool. But the conversation for me is, I'm not saying Max couldn't come over, drive other cars, but I've literally seen Kyle Larson do it at a high level and be great in these different cars. So with that being said, I also think if you took the top three, not the top three, pick 3 Cup drivers, pick 3 IndyCar drivers, pick 3 F1 guys, 3 guys from V8 Supercar. I think if you pick 3 dirt guys, one from late models, one from sprint cars, maybe one from midgets, and you mix them all together and let them drive each other's cars, right? And there's an overall points thing that we grade or whatever. I think it would be shocking to see who would be at the top. I think it would be very interesting. I would go off and say Scott McLaughlin and SVG are going to be higher than people think. I think the F1 guys, because they're so locked into their discipline, would struggle a lot on the other ones. And I think that's
it's like a little mini motorsports Olympics.
Yeah. Oh,
I like that
well,
idea.
it's funny you say that. We were talking off screen, the Olympics, karting in the Olympics, because that's. I think that'd be a great way to find out, because everyone does karting, and it's easy to train in that, and it's easy to. The karts are pretty similar. It may give a nod to the F1 guys and open wheel guys a little bit, but Larson goes to Trackhouse all the time.
Larson actually showed up and raced one of the national go-kart races.
How'd he do?
A couple of years ago. He's going to need to run a couple more.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but he was, in practicing things, he was fast. He just, the racecraft and everything that came with how aggressive those guys were, I think caught him off guard. But I think he ran like 20th.
Out of...
I don't know.
It's a national event, so there's a lot of...
Yeah, but to your point, though, I think if he did that the whole time,
That's
he just showed up the week of.
Yeah.
Like it jumped in there.
Sounds about right.
I think it's an interesting conversation, because it's hard to get these guys out of their discipline. And we've talked about it on this show. I wish that our guys would be more versatile. I wish the F1 guys would be more versatile. Let's go do the 24 hours of Daytona like they used to, and all these guys show up, and we make this a truly international event so that we can start having more of this discussion. I would love to see Max Verstappen show up and drive the 24 hours of Daytona. I'd love to see Kyle Larson do it more. I'd love our guys to go, Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, to go run the 24 hours of Daytona. That's truly the place that they all used to do it.
Yep.
They all used to come to the 24 hours of Daytona and race. And we need, for this conversation to be more relevant, we need those guys to race.
100%.
And that is the place to do it.
According to some media, we're here in a bubble over in America. But in this bubble, we support Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
We're proud of Kyle Larson in this bubble, okay?
Those are uneducated media folks that
Absolutely.
That talk about that bubble, because when we went to Europe, they talked about how many more choices we have to race in different divisions with different cars, and to train our kids to do different things, and be able to do that here in America. There, it's karts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You got go-karts.
A lot of people in our industry wouldn't have this perspective of what happens over there on the karting F1 side. So it's interesting to hear that.
It's very much pointed towards karts, and all those F1 teams and people are involved in that karting system. The FIA, they're all involved in this system to have all these different steps to go to F1, and it's very calculated.
I just see how the other sports like NBA and NFL, they're always talking about who's the greatest. And I wish Max would have. I respect him for how he did his interview. Like, that's how he wanted to do it. But when Kyle Larson says, I'm him, I'm the guy, I'm like, oh, there's the alpha. Which
is very un-Kyle Larson.
Very un-Kyle Larson.
But I love that he said that.
Yeah.
As he should.
24 hours of Daytona. Let's start it there.
Listen,
there you go.
10 toes down, standing on business.
We'll have more of a comparison if they would show up and race.
There you go. A challenge has been set.
Where you at, dog?
Come to our bubble. Come play.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.